Although the garage sale wasn't scheduled until Friday, and possibly extended to Saturday if items were overpriced, I received help preparing on Wednesday evening. Alongside Kathy, my mom, and Beth, my older sister, we worked late into the night and dedicated an entire day on Thursday. By Friday morning at 8 a.m., we had boxes of items priced and ready to sell. I felt a heavy heart as I handled possessions that once held significant meaning for us. Now, strangers might take them away. Maybe a neighbor or two would buy a keepsake from our time in this house. One by one, rooms grew unnervingly silent as items were taken out, and echoes that had been hidden for years began to resurface. The master bedroom was the hardest to deal with. The skirt I bought for her in Maui, sell it. The matching sandals from that vacation, we don't want or need them anymore. Her blouses, slacks, skirts, and all those shoes. I truly doubt we'll manage to sell everything. Mom suggested starting at $10 per pair of shoes, even though I'm pretty sure each pair was worth much more. At least she knew how to handle credit card transactions. Nearly every item I picked up evoked cherished memories. Several times I had to turn my head to wipe away a tear. Perhaps my memories would fade over time, but that hasn't happened yet. It felt like every drawer I opened tugged at my heartstrings. Occasionally, Mom would send me to the kitchen for some snacks and a moment to breathe. She and Beth were determined, and my broken heart wasn't going to hold them back. Sitting in the kitchen didn't help. My new apartment was small, and I wouldn't need all those pots, pans, and dishes. By the time we felt prepared, the garage was packed with boxes from floor to ceiling. Our plan was to have Hank, my dad, and his friends wear authentic-looking law enforcement uniforms, all purchased from the Halloween store. They were all licensed to carry weapons and intended to do so. Word has it that those looking to steal 5 items decide to try their luck elsewhere when they see people who are prepared. Mom offered to handle the cash register line. On Friday, before dawn, I was outside setting up the tables and tents. Thankfully, the weather forecast predicted light winds and no rain. Even at that early hour, potential buyers were driving by, inquiring if we were open. Early birds are always on the lookout for items that seem ridiculously cheap. Beth arrived around 7 a.m. with donuts, and Mom and Dad followed shortly after. While the women were busy attending to details, the men began pulling furniture out of the house. With each item we brought out, the crowd grew larger. So much for sticking to a set start time. Mom enjoyed managing the money, and I was pleased we had bought a package of bags for customers to carry their purchases. Beth thrived in engaging with the crowd, often making things up on the spot to answer questions, telling people whatever they wanted to hear. One of Dad's friends was in charge of the locked display case containing all the jewelry and antiques, including some of my duplicate tools. I'm not sure if he knows anything about jewelry, but the elderly ladies were absolutely loving it. The street couldn't accommodate all the traffic because 2 nearby neighbors were also setting up their sales. We exchanged greetings. Darcy, Deanne's closest friend in the neighborhood, approached just before 8 a.m. "Chad, what's happening?" "Good morning, Darcy. It's called a garage sale." "I know that jerk. Deanne mentioned you guys were only selling a few items." "Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Look, it's not even 8 yet, and we've already sold a few things." "She didn't mention anything about furniture." "Guess she didn't want you to know." "I'd love to chat, Darcy, but I have work to do. Good luck with your shopping." Darcy seemed upset that I had brushed her off. She and Deanne like to believe they're in control of all decisions. I wasn't surprised when my phone buzzed a few minutes later. "Hey Deanne, can't talk long. Pretty busy with the garage sale, you know. We're doing just fine without you." "Chad, Darcy said you've got the entire front yard and driveway filled with clothes and furniture. Gotta get up early to sneak one past Darcy. Yeah, things are moving quickly. Nice talking to you." "Don't you day." I ended the call. Well, that was the first call anyway. I let the subsequent ones go to voicemail, one after another. You get the idea. Pictures. I went around the house and took them down from the walls. Damn, The frames were worth 10 times what I was asking for them. Mom mentioned that Deanne had called, but she didn't answer. She handed me an envelope with $500 in it, and it was only 8:15. Looking around, it didn't seem like the shoppers had made much progress. Every time table space opened up, Beth would empty another box. The road was a madhouse. Someone was trying to back their pickup truck next to our driveway to load a dresser. Another $500 envelope from Mom. A woman was trying on shoes obsessively, like a junkie. It looked like she was about to buy a couple $100 worth. And I was worried about them actually being sold. Deanne called, and I figured it was time to tease her again. Hello? Don't give me that hello crap. Darcy says you're selling my clothes and shoes. She's very perceptive. You weren't supposed to touch my stuff. My bad. I swear you said to get rid of the ugly thing, so that's what I'm doing. Yep, you even wrote it down. I was talking about your sweaters, the ones you think are cute, but are just childish. Guess you should have been more specific. It says get rid of ugly clothes. Your wedding dress sold. You do know it made you look pregnant. Damn you, Chad! What the hell is wrong with you? Just following your instructions. Most of your jeans are gone. You always thought they made your butt look fat. Personally, I don't think the jeans had anything to do with it, but they won't bother you anymore. Why are you treating me like this? That's rhetorical, right? Oh, I gotta go. The lady buying your shoes is ready to check out. Later. I pressed the red button. Wednesday morning, earlier that week. That's enough. I've been attending all our garage sales, I responded calmly. You may have been there, Chad, but I handled all the planning. I'm just ensuring everything goes smoothly for you. My wife Deanne was meticulously managing our upcoming community garage sale. The HOA restricts us to one event in the spring and another in late summer. We participate more for the sense of community than for the profits. It's satisfying to sort through our belongings and eliminate items that no longer serve us. This time, Deanne won't be present. She's traveling to Cleveland, hoping to finalize a merger. I believe this is her 4th trip there in 3 months. Although she's not a lawyer, she works in the legal department of her company. I continued. There must be 6 pages of instructions here. I'll have help. My parents and Beth said they'd come. I think Mom is only helping so she can spend time with Beth. I just jotted things down as they came to me. I'm trying to assist you. Give me the list. I just remembered something else. Dispose of those ugly clothes. Whatever. I'm not being childish. No matter how hard we try, we won't get top dollar for some items. And yes, some things will get stolen. It happens every time we do one of these. I'll keep the valuable items under glass. You keep checking your phone. What's up? I'm just checking Uber and Lyft rates. They fluctuate constantly. See, I just saved $10. They'll arrive in 15 minutes. Can I get a hug before I leave? Or more if you want. I'll see you off to the home of the 1964 NFL champions with a smile on your face. I managed to touch Deanne as she laughed and tried to pull away. Leave me alone, you pervert. Fine. Safe travels. Deanne was out the door in no time once the rideshare arrived. We were behaving more like co-workers than a married couple. Have you heard the saying, you can learn a lot just by observing? Deanne and I recently attended a graduation party. The pressure from a work merger had been affecting her, and she might have had one drink too many. On our way home, she seemed unusually affectionate. Well, looks like someone's ready to go. Step on it, Chad, she said, laughing. Once we arrived home, her behavior was surprisingly different from the usual. She was suddenly very forward, something I wasn't used to. Later that night, she fell asleep quickly, leaving me reflecting on her change in demeanor. This wasn't typical for her, as she rarely initiated anything. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. My curiosity grew, especially given her recent trips to Cleveland. When her next trip was planned, I decided to keep an eye on things with the help of a private investigator. While there were no public displays of affection, the investigator noticed patterns in her behavior. She'd leave her room, go to the lobby, then return, but instead of going to her room, she'd enter a different one before coming back later. It felt like a game was unfolding, leaving me with more questions than answers. Saturday noon. Deanne's parents arrived. Hank kept them waiting on the sidewalk, so I came over to spend time with them. "Chad, why are you selling all these things?" Deanne said it was only supposed to be a few card tables worth of items. "Looks like she's not very good at math. She also mentioned that you're not answering her calls." "That's not true. I've talked to her a few times this morning. She claims you hang up on her and then ignore her repeated attempts to call back. Why don't you call her and tell her to warn David to watch his back?" "David? Who is David?" "Apparently he's someone she's been hooking up with during her road trips. I have photos if you need proof." I know I wanted proof. "What proof?" her father snapped at me. "Here's a photo. Keep it because I have plenty more to share. It's time-stamped this morning at 4:21 a.m. Notice how she's barefoot, carrying her bra and heels, with her blouse untucked. That's David's room she's coming out of." I stammered, struggling to find the right words. "But you can't sell all of her stuff." "Hey, I have 6 pages of instructions on how to run a successful garage sale. Hold on. I think I need to address an issue Kathy seems to be having. Go ahead, give Deanne a call." Someone was negotiating the price for some of Deanne's grandmother's furniture. I wanted it gone, but the pieces were Gustav Stickley from around 1910, so they were quite valuable. Eventually, we settled on $1,000 for the bookcase, table, and 2 side chairs. From what I recall, they bought it for roughly 25 cents on the dollar. I needed to sell it because it held significant sentimental value for Deanne. If her inherited jewelry sold, it would make for a fantastic day. When I returned to Deanne's parents, they were tearful and appeared defeated. My phone buzzed, but it was just Deanne. "She says she loves you, Chad. Can't you two work something out?" her mother begged. "I am trying to work something out. We're selling everything, and I'm moving into my own apartment. She can stay here and live with David if she can handle the mortgage payments." They quietly left, wiping away their tears. I felt sorry for them since we always seemed to get along. Deanne called again, so I answered. "Hey, asshole, how's everything leaking?" "I'm sorry. Please stop the garage sale. I wish you could see how strangers are going through what's left of you and me." "Oh, God." "Well, you said to get rid of ugly things, and everything you wear makes you look like an ugly, conniving biatch, so I priced them to sell quickly. By the way, how is David?" Deanne didn't respond right away, so I ended the call. By 2 p.m., with an hour remaining, all the furniture and jewelry had been sold. Most of the shoes were also gone. It turns out that Brooks and Hoka brands were particularly popular with the garage sale shoppers. Although we still had plenty of items to sell, the front lawn was largely cleared of merchandise. I was walking around with over $5,000 in my pocket, which made me feel somewhat uneasy. I wasn't taken aback when I saw Deanne's texts pleading for me to stop selling her belongings. I replied that her jewelry had already been sold. She responded with a harsh, "You fucking asshole," to which I retorted, "No, you were the asshole." By 3 o'clock, Beth and Kathy were still actively selling items, so we stayed for another 90 minutes until the crowd dispersed. Since we didn't intend to have another sale on Saturday, we simply packed the remaining items back into boxes and stored them in the garage. Deanne's flight wasn't scheduled to leave until after dinner, so she called multiple times from the airport. With a beer in hand, I answered one of her calls. "Hey, a girl of easy virtue, how was your trip?" "I'm sorry," she replied softly. "I can imagine. Doesn't change my plans, though." "What plans?" "I've moved out. I got an apartment near work." "But how can we resolve things if you move?" "Newsflash. We're not resolving anything. You cheated, you got caught. It's game over. Better luck next time." I could tell Deanne was really upset, but I no longer felt any urge to care. "I'm sorry, Chad. Will you be there when I get home?" "Nope. I don't plan on ever setting foot in that house again. Kathy has your portion of the garage sale money. She's looking forward to your call because I think she has some choice words ready for you." Oh gosh, I've really messed up my life. No arguments from me. Guess what? We meant so little to you that it was easy to discard everything. Your life isn't the only one in disarray. I shared the picture I gave to your parents with David's wife. I'd run if you see her coming your way. She whimpered for a solid minute. Hearing her distress was oddly satisfying to my so-called fragile male ego. Petty, yes. But it's true. My heart had been shattered when I first saw the batch of damning photos sent over by the investigators. She had been so smug, so confident that I was oblivious, that I barely needed 2 days to wrap up what turned into quite an expensive intel operation. Deanne finally broke the silence. Divorce? Obviously. What did you think would happen? I didn't really think it through. It was only ever while traveling. Oh well, my apologies for overreacting. I deserved that. What's going to happen with the house? You can buy me out, or we sell. That's usually how these things go. Every memory there's ruined for me now, so I'm glad to be rid of it. Could we still be friends? Unlikely. Maybe in 50 years at a retirement home. I'm sorry. Yeah, you've mentioned that. My flight is boarding. I guess you're not planning on picking me up this time, right? Not a chance. Hope your luggage doesn't get lost. Wouldn't want you to lose all those outfits you wore for David. I love you. Whatever, I said, hanging up. By the following Tuesday, divorce papers were delivered to Deanne, naturally at her office. At the same time, David received a lawsuit for alienation of affection. I knew it was probably a waste of money, but it achieved the intended effect. The only evidence I had were photos of them entering his room at night and not leaving until the next morning. I couldn't prove they were having an affair, but both were removed from the merger team, and I think their chances of advancement in the company are mostly gone. Even though I had Deanne's instructions for the garage sale, my attorney warned me that a judge might not see it my way. But there's always a chance. And even if I have to reimburse her, the originals are gone, along with any cherished memories attached to them. As it turned out, the judge only required me to repay for items Deanne could prove were exclusively hers. No paper trail, so unfortunately for her, I didn't end up paying much. It hurts, no doubt. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'll move forward. I've got a lot of baggage and deep trust issues, but plenty of others have had it worse than me.